Before we dive in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more gripping true crime stories just like this. 3 hours. That's how long it took 12 strangers to decide Marcus Reed would die in prison. 3 hours to override everything he knew to be true. They said one word: guilty. 14 years later, a machine would disagree. And when it did, it exposed something far more dangerous than one mistake. It exposed how easily you could have believed it, too. Before we get to the DNA, you need to see how convincing the case looked. Because that's the unsettling part. The crime was simple, brutal, emotional. A store owner was shot during a late-night robbery. The city wanted resolution fast. Police found Marcus 2 days later, not because of fingerprints, not because of DNA, because someone thought she saw him nearby. Nearby became involved. Involved became guilty. That shift happened quietly, but here's what the jury didn't know. Her confidence grew over time, and confidence isn't the same thing as accuracy. The witness first described someone taller, different build, different jacket color. Then the police showed her Marcus's photo more than once. Memory doesn't replay like video, it edits. But by trial, she said she was certain, and certainty is persuasive. Ask yourself something uncomfortable. If someone pointed across a courtroom and said they were 100% sure it was you, would 12 strangers hesitate? Probably not. But the witness wasn't the strongest part of the case. The strongest part sounded scientific. A single word did most of the work. Consistent. A partial fingerprint was found at the scene. Not a match, not a clear exclusion either. Just consistent. That word feels objective, neutral, reliable, but partial prints can't identify one person with certainty. They only fail to eliminate. That nuance disappeared in court. The prosecution built a clean narrative. And juries don't analyze evidence piece by piece. They evaluate coherence. Does the story feel complete? This one did. 3 hours later, Marcus lost his life as he knew it. But here's the first fracture in that story. One piece of evidence was never fully tested. Prison doesn't move fast. Appeals crawl. Years blur. Marcus filed motions. Denied. Filed again. Denied. Outside, technology evolved. Inside, hope shrank. And the biological sample from the crime scene, it sat in storage, untouched. Why? Because the case was strong, but strong cases don't usually fear testing. So why resist it? An innocence organization reviewed the file. They noticed the untested sample. They requested advanced DNA analysis. Prosecutors pushed back. If the conviction was sound, why reopen it? Months passed. A judge finally approved testing. Marcus didn't celebrate. In prison, hope can break you. The sample went to the lab. Weeks passed. And then the results came back. They excluded him completely. Not a weak result. Not partial doubt. Total exclusion. And it matched someone already in the system. A violent offender. Never investigated in this case. Now pause. If you're Marcus, this should mean freedom. It didn't, because even exonerating DNA isn't always enough. Prosecutors suggested alternative theories. Maybe there was an accomplice. Maybe the DNA wasn't central. Notice the shift. Earlier, the evidence was definitive. Now it was flexible. The fingerprint. Suddenly inconclusive. The witness. Less certain years later, the airtight narrative began to leak. And this is the part crime documentaries rarely emphasize. Institutions resist admitting error, because admitting error creates liability. Finally, after 14 years, Marcus returned to court. But the tone was different. No one sounded confident anymore. The judge vacated the conviction. Charges dismissed. Marcus walked out at 3:08. He entered at 24. 14 birthdays gone. But here's the part that lingers. The jury wasn't malicious. They weren't reckless. They believed they were right. And if you sat in that jury box with that witness, with that fingerprint testimony, with that narrative, you likely would have agreed. That's the uncomfortable truth. Wrongful convictions don't just harm the innocent. They shield the guilty. The real perpetrator stayed free for years, which means the system failed twice, once by convicting Marcus, and again by protecting someone else. The jury said guilty. DNA said no. Between those two words, 14 years disappeared, and somewhere right now there's another case that feels airtight. Another confident witness, another technical term that sounds convincing. Another jury ready to deliberate. The only question is, will the DNA already exist? Or is someone's clock already ticking? Comment if you believe the truth can be hidden in plain sight. Subscribe for more shocking true crime stories that defy belief. Like, share.